So Stunlock have given us a gameplay trailer, so now we've got a much better idea of how combat works and we've got some stuff to extract from it. If you don't know about V Rising, basically this is the new game from Stunlock Studios. They were the studio that originally did Battlerite. Battlerite was a fast-paced, arena-based brawler, and it was a game that was well known for its skill shots and reactive plays and, being able to do, whiffs and outsmarting your opponent. And I think it's fair to say it was one of a kind. Anyway, the studio deemed that it didn't do so well, so they've taken all those concepts and placed it into a PvE/PvP game. And you essentially play the role as a vampire, and there's crafting elements, and you've got to rebuild your house, and you've the alliances, and you can fight other vampires, and it's open world, and there's resource management and crafting and all those good things that people love. And I think the main takeaway is that they're not just focusing now on the hardcore PvP market, which is, fair to say very small and niche, and they're opening it up to kind of like all of the gaming audiences. So if you don't want to do that PvP stuff, you don't have to, and you can enjoy the PvE elements. Anyway, this is everything that I know so far about the game, and I've extracted away from the trailer. Number one is that there is a day and night cycle. I guess this goes in conjunction with the fact that if you are in the sunlight, then you will take damage as a vampire. And I'm also guessing that there are other elements around this. Maybe mobs go to sleep, or different mobs come up at night, or maybe you're even more powerful during the night. There's also a mini-map. It showcases where your mount is with a little horseshoe. It also shows these small green icons. Now, I'm guessing that is like quest areas or where there are creatures that you need to kill. And also there is a set of dots that seem to follow you behind to showcase where you've come from. Now, maybe I've got this wrong, and it's like they're running away from the objective that they're meant to be going to, and you're meant to follow the white dots, because I don't quite understand why you'd need to know where you've come from. But anyway, it's on the mini-map, and there's something that I spotted. Now, in more interesting things, it does look like they haven't stepped away too far from the Battlerite engine, because they still are sticking to some very key principles. Because for your abilities, right, they are still sticking with the design that you have a right click, a left click, you have a space for an evasive ability, then you have another evasive ability on shift, and then you have like 3 core custom abilities, so you've got E, R and T. So in total you can have 7 abilities at any given time. You've also got access to vampire specific abilities, I'm presuming, on F as well. What's new though is they've also got the weapon selection in there as well, and they showcase the crossbow, the axe, like the dual wielding of axes as well, and you can hot swap and change between them. Now, your primary ability and your secondary ability are related to your weapons. So if you have an axe and you swap to like your dual wielding axes, you will get a different set of primary attacking abilities. And you can see in the gameplay, so like the two-handed axe had like a big streaking kind of wide arc ability, and then when you went to the dual wielding axes, it was more of a flurry-esque high DPS ability. Now, what didn't change out of this was the evasion abilities and your spell abilities on ERT, and I'm guessing that you can change and swap them around depending on how you want your playstyle to be. And the ones that were showcased in the gameplay, so there's like a shield that you can use, there's a frost blast, and there was also an ability to send out a spinning scythe at your enemy. There are also some trigger abilities as well, so when you use your space, for example, to jump back, your primary will change into like a dagger throwing ability, it looked like. And there was also a bite ability. Now I couldn't quite work out what the trigger was. I thought it was like your shift mobility, so you kind of like jump and then you get to do a follow-up move afterwards. And these are all abilities that follow that Stunlock Studio style of pattern. So you'll use an ability, it could have a potential follow-up. You then make a choice whether or not you want to use it. It either will give you an advantage or it will open you up to attacks from the enemy because it was mistimed, for example. And when it comes to PvP, this is what makes Stunlock games so cool. In terms of other spells as well, there was a magic missile ability where you had a big 20-second cooldown, but you could fire lots of firebolts at the enemies. So there is a vast variety of magic that you can use. There are also trigger abilities, so you use an evasive move, you'll get a buff. I don't know what they do. I'm guessing it either makes you take less damage, do more damage, life leech, all those kind of things. But the biggest thing for me about this is just the fact that there is variety and you can have different playstyles if you so wish it. Another thing that I thought was really nice was the fact that they have really put some effort into building up the worlds. They look really, really pretty. The creatures attacking you looked really detailed. They had a nice stylism to them. And while this is only a small snapshot of the game, I am hoping that it continues throughout the world and we see different biomes and different creatures that you can interact with. You also got to see some PvE/PvP interaction between two sets of vampires fighting each other. I thought it was cool. The more worrying thing for me was the fact that one of the vampires had an ability that was similar to Shifu's kind of spear stab, even down to the pinging noise that he would make if you hit him during his phase move, which resulted in you getting stabbed in the back. When the vampires die as well, it looks like they'd leave a loot bag on the ground, which is kind of like a glowing rock with some red stuff spinning around it. I'm guessing that's how you get the loot from stuff that you kill. I'm also hoping this isn't super hardcore and you drop all your items if you die, because I think that would make the game feel a little bit miserable. But overall, it looks like the game is on track and they're doing a really good job with it. Yes, they are using assets from Battlerite, but it looks like they're also updating and putting other effects in as well, which is really cool. I hope this does really well for Stunlock because they do create really, really cool PvP games and they're really, really good at it. But ultimately, it will come down to the support from their fan base. So until it gets released, if I find out any more information, I will let you know. I hope you all have a great week and I'll be back with more news soon.